Well, my reckoning, that will be you on the end of the line there. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad. And more to the point, you're feeling a bit more up to it today.
Yes. Feeling a little bit more with it last week. You know, three kids, all at home, all under the weather. It wasn't going to be a particularly successful radio show. No. So, yes, much better this week.
Okay. Now, you just told me off air a little while ago that Tommy decided to impact your nose this morning. And and you said to me off air that he's strong. What do you think has made him strong apart from a mum who's extremely fit? Do you think that might be you?
No, he's I have a firm belief that even babies, 1-year-old toddlers have some sort of subconscious level awareness of what's happened to them. Consciously, no. Consciously, we can't remember. But when you go through trauma, it has deep-rooted impacts. And he went through a lot of trauma where he was unable to move on a ventilator. He couldn't feed for months. He died several times. And I think he is subconsciously doing everything in his power to survive and live.
Yeah, well, no, that kind of makes sense. Particularly with kids, they find ways of overcoming things and going forward. So that's a good thing, right? So let's move on now. The subject today, cold water therapy. Now, a little while ago, I did speak to Sam Phillips, who does cold water therapy, and he was explaining some of the benefits from his point of view and how that came about. Now, you've been dipping in and out of the cold water from time to time. How has it impacted you, and how did it come to your attention?
Sam's been doing it for a lot longer than me. To me, it's quite a new thing that I've been trying. I've been aware of it for a long time. So I've been aware of it since, Wim Hof. For anyone who doesn't know, he's sort of quite a pioneer in cold water therapy. He's like the Iceman. And if you want to sort of know more, definitely buying his book is probably the first step to go. So I've been aware of it for a while. I have a lot of friends in the sort of fitness and coaching arena who do cold water therapy to some degree. And I thought I would start giving it a go and seeing whether there was genuinely any benefit to it. And I have to admit, as challenging as it is, because we all go through challenges, and this is my new challenge, it has a lot of mental, but for me, physical benefits that are quite tangible that I can feel.
Okay.
So you've got different levels, and
so that's in mind.
Yeah.
So that in mind, has that inspired you further? The reason I stop you there and ask, because you talk about challenges, and yes, we all face them. Are you the kind of person that looks for or embraces new challenges in order to move forward? And do you recommend that to people?
Looking for and embracing are slightly different. I think that in our day and age that we live in now, we have developed a lot of ways of making ourselves comfortable. And when we are comfortable, we're no longer facing certain challenges that we would have done thousands of years ago before clothes, heating, houses were so prevalent. In being comfortable, we've stopped thriving. We survive day to day, but that exhilaration, that desire of, what's going to happen tomorrow, that's gone. That thrive and push that we would have had is kind of no more, because we know what to expect. Tomorrow, we know that we're going to go to work, and we know there's a house at home. I mean, I would say heating, but with the energy bills, who knows? But we know from a relative perspective, even if we're struggling financially, that we have certain levels of safety and comfort that we wouldn't have done. And for me, it was about, rather than looking for a challenge, it was how to not stagnate And I think there are certain things we can do by putting ourselves out of our comfort zone that can help us thrive rather than just survive.
Okay, well, all right. So that pushes the boundaries for each individual. For you, by way of demonstration or explanation, when you first did this cold water therapy, the reason I say it because Sam was saying that he started off doing cold showers, a couple of minutes at a time every morning and then ventured to the sea and all the rest of it. And even in the summertime, obviously the sea is going to be a lot colder than the body temperature or whatever. So are you one of those people that doesn't feel the cold that much, or are you one of those people going, whoa, hold on a minute, that's a bit
I cannot stand the cold. Like it's I would be happy if it was 30-degree heat all year round. I do not deal well with the cold, which is why I knew that this would be a challenge for me. I will be the person that has a bath and literally just runs the hot tap. I won't put the cold in it at all. So I do not deal well with cold, and it's something that I would like to work on, because like it or not, I live in England and it's not 30 degrees for the majority of the time.
Sadly not.
So yeah, it was something for me that I knew was going to be a challenge. So I did start with cold showers as well. I didn't even start at a couple minutes. Literally, I started with a hot shower, my normal shower, and at the end I would do 15 seconds of cold.
Right.
So it was very much beginner for me. Right now I'm up to 45 seconds. You know, if that for me is progress. For other people that might sound, well, that's hardly anything. You know, you haven't really progressed at all. But that's where it's the little steps. And I know that in this particular challenge, if I don't take very small steps, I'm going to go too far, resent it and not do it again.
Okay.
So I'm trying to build it up. I did run into the sea in 4-degree weather in Brighton, which was slightly nuts, but it was exhilarating.
Was it a bit more than refreshing?
It was a bit more than refreshing. You know what? Once you're in there, it's you're wondering why, because every part of you is starting to burn. You go past cold, it starts to burn. You start to wonder if you're going to be able to feel anything again. You can't catch your breath. It's like, you know, a sharp dagger straight in. You cannot catch your breath. But you start practicing certain breathing techniques. I started to focus my mind elsewhere, and it's all mental control. Your body does what your mind is effectively telling it to. You know, why do, when we go to an operation, we can't feel anything when we're being cut open? It's not the body, it's the mind being shut down. So pain and our sense and perception of pain is all mental. So we need to start focusing our mind in certain ways so that we can overcome that feeling when we're in the cold. Because once you get out, it's pretty spectacular the way that you feel within yourself.
Okay. All right. So it's quite a I mean, if you, just before we go to music, what you're saying is when you go in, it's like, wow. But when you come out, is it a feeling of relief and elation, or the fact that you've come out of the cold water, or is it much more than that?
There is a sense of emotional freedom, because you kind of feel like you've overcome something pretty huge, and you can you feel slightly limitless at that point. But to me, it's more of a physical thing. So I can feel my lungs gaining capacity. I can feel my cardiovascular system getting stronger each time, because I'm practicing breathing techniques. And effectively, when we go from hot to cold, our vascular system, which is essentially a muscular system, expands and contracts and expands and contracts, and it gets stronger and it gets bigger and it gets used. And that is huge in terms of immune system, in terms of breath work, in terms of fitness. So for me, mentally, it's fantastic, but I come from it from a more physical perspective. And if you want to be looking at progressing your physical fitness, your immune system, and in general body function, it's a great way to start.
All right. Okay. Well, let's do this. Play a bit of music, and we come back with Rita in just a moment after Cool Water from Bob Nolan. All right. So we're back with Rita now, and so did you have that cold shower this morning? And more to the point, do you start off with it on hot, and do you gradually turn it down, or do you go from the hot straight down to cold in one hit? How does that work for you?
So it's in one hit. So effectively, if you want to give it a go, have your normal shower, warm, hot, however you have it, and then start, if it's something that's brand new to you, start at 15 seconds. So you get to the end of the shower and temperature, whack it down immediately and start to just focus on breathing. That's the first thing, is just focus on in and out, big breaths, and redirect the mind away from what's happening, redirect it away from the cold, and redirect it on something that you can just start focusing on. Anyone can endure 15 seconds of a cold water shower, especially if you've just been in the hot for, 6-7 minutes. Your body's got that retained heat from the hot water. So it's not going to be dangerous in any way for anyone to do 15 seconds of cold at the end. And then do that until you get to a point where you think, I can do a little bit more. And then start to increase gradually in a way that works for you. So, I think Wim Hof in his book says, 15 seconds. If you want to go up by 5 seconds each time, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to increase by 2 seconds each week, do that. Whatever the little step is that gets you 1% progress is better than no progress. So it's about focusing on the breathing, but then focusing on the mind. So, you could do things like cold foot baths. It doesn't have to be a whole shower. You could do it for specific body areas. And then you want to focus your mind on that body area, sending heat, sending sort of feelings towards that body area, so that you are mentally in control of what's happening to it. So, I could put my feet in ice water, but if I mentally take the control of that moment and say, no, we're in the warmth, and I kind of send myself to a desert island somewhere and imagine my feet in the baking hot sand, where it's so hot you can barely walk.
I know.
So I would imagine being in that moment, how it feels, the sand between my toes, the feeling of heat around, and you start to find that can override whatever the actual external situation is going on. So start at a very short period of time, start with your normal shower, drop it down to cold, and then gradually increase.
Okay. Now, a few years ago, everyone was talking about the ice bucket challenge, and in fact, we did a function for the Suffolk Constabulary, and the chief constable was there at the time, and he decided to go and do it. And I have to say, I was commentating, and I stood in front, and the people came behind, and they had the biggest bucket of ice water you've ever seen in your life. It took 2 of them to lift it and take it over. And the look on his face, although he knew it was happening, was like, wow, I don't know what to do here. But then afterwards, I did notice that he had a bit of a spark. But I don't think he was aware of that at the time. So did you take part in the Ice Bucket Challenge?
I haven't done the Ice Bucket Challenge. This year I will be taking place with the Christmas Day sea dip.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working up to. But like I say, cold water for me is a brand new challenge, something I've been aware of, but something that I can admit very freely that I've been scared of, because I know that it's something that I have in the past reacted badly to. Cold is not something that I react well to. But the first step was just to change that mentality. So I used to just say, I don't like cold. So obviously, if I tell myself I don't like cold, I'm never going to get into a mental state of self-belief where I can deal with it. So the first step was to purely say, the cold doesn't affect me. The cold has no power over me. I am in control, regardless of temperature, regardless of weather. And it was starting to just tell myself these things on a regular basis so that I could start to inhabit a self-belief that I could handle it. And then at that point, I started to try the cold showers and use that self-belief to get me through it. The cold does not affect me. It's a lot easier to try something like that that's new when you start to change your belief in your perception of it.
Okay, so if I see you out at a social gathering of some sort, and I get a couple of ice cubes and put them on your back, you won't feel a thing. Is that right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I mean, you know, if someone comes up behind me in a dark space and puts ice cubes on my back, you might not get the reaction you want, but I'll be able to deal with the cold.
Yeah, yes, but will I be able to deal with the bruises? That's the thing. All right, listen, Rita, as always, it's been brilliant. And how do people get in touch with you to find out more about what you do? What's the best way they get in touch?
Head over to my socials. So I'm on Facebook, Rita Trotter, or my Facebook page, The Health and Fitness Coach. You can send me a DM. You can email me, rita@thehealthandfitnesscoach.co.uk, or you can give me a call or a text on 077 6969 0679.
I tell you what, mental capacity, all those numbers. It's been a pleasure, and we'll catch up with you soon. I'm going to leave you with this one, which is Foreigner, Cold as Ice. We'll speak to you soon. Take care. Ta-da.
Bye.